All right, Chapter 10, Lesson 2 is volume of triangular prisms. It says here that Ari has a pup tent like the one shown. The opening of the tent has a base and a height of 6 feet. The length of the tent is 8 feet. Okay, so if I'm looking at this diagram, this triangle right here is the front that we're going to, says what is the area of the front triangular face. Okay, so on the triangular face, down here, this is the base. This dotted line here that drops down to a right angle, that is the height of the base. And then over here, this measurement right here that goes from the triangle to the triangle, or the base to base, is the height of the prism. You need to know that the height of the prism goes from one of the congruent bases to the other congruent base. Is everybody clear? Please make sure you write that down. The height of the prism goes from base to base, and that is on any prism, rectangular or triangular. So the first one says, find the area of the front triangular face. So this triangular face is what we're going to find the area of. So here is the formula that we're going to use. Because it's a triangle, the formula is 1/2 base times height. So when we substitute in, we're going to substitute, well, we're going to put the 1/2, bring down the 1/2, times the base of the triangle, which is 6, times the height of the triangle, which is 6. And now you just simplify. So we can do 1/2 of 6 is equal to 3, and then 3 times 6 is 18. Very good. And what are my units going to be? Feet squared. Very good. Make sure you write that down. So the next part says, now we're going to take the area, take this area that we just found, and we're going to multiply it by the height of the prism. What's the height of the prism? 8. Remember, it goes from triangular base to triangular base. So from here to here, that is the height of the prism. Okay? So we are going to take that, looking at this formula right here, we're going to take the 1/2 base times height. We already did that one. That was 18 feet squared, right? So that's 18 feet squared. And then we're going to multiply times the height of the prism, which is 8. So 18 times 8. All right, so that's 144. 18 times 8 is 144. And now, because we're looking at volume, what are my units going to be? Feet cubed. Very good. Feet cubed. Don't forget that because we're looking at volume, the units are cubed. Okay? But area, it is squared. So here we're looking at the volume of a triangular prism. In words, it says here the volume V of a triangular prism is the area of the base, B, that's the big B, times the height of the prism. You remember when I was saying the area of the base, that's the big B, and then the height is the height of the prism. This is the height of the prism. Okay, so the formula is volume is equal to the big B times the H, where the big B is, what formula is that? Is that big B for the triangular prism? So the big B in a triangular prism is a triangle, and the formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Is everybody clear? All right. Now, I like to, let me just erase this here. I like to change this little h there, and I like to make that a capital H. Okay? I like to make that a capital H when I put it into my formula here for volume. The reason for that is because I want so that you can distinguish the difference between the height of the base and the height of the prism. Is everybody clear? And that formula is for the volume of a triangular prism. Okay? Now, it says here that in a triangular prism, the bases are congruent triangles. We already know that because all prisms have two congruent parallel bases, right? And in a triangular prism, they just happen to be triangles, okay? Now, it says the diagram below shows the volume of the triangular prism is also the product of the area of the base and the height of the prism. Okay, so here, if I took this triangle down here, you can see that it's not just a two-dimensional. It's a, right, there's your three-dimensional. And if I took layers of that triangle and stacked them one on top of the other, right, this would be 1 unit, the next one would be 2 units, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and so forth. Does that make sense? So that those layers represent the height of the prism. So for the first example, it says find the volume of the triangular prism. Okay, so here, there's our picture. We want to find the area of the base, that's the big B, and the formula is 1/2 times the base times the height of the base. Okay, so if I'm looking at this triangle, if I'm looking at that triangle, and of course that triangle also goes down here. See, they're exactly the same? Base to base, right? So if I'm looking at this triangle down here, I've got the area, the base of this triangle is 8, so there's the 8, times the height of this triangle is 10, there's the 10, and it's 1/2 base times height. Does everybody see how I got those numbers? Now, this height is the height of the prism, right? And that's the one that we want to make a capital H, right? So that's the height of the prism. And that height goes from base to base. So which number tells me base to base? 13. Does everybody see that? So this right there is the height of the prism. You got it? And that's where they got that 13. And then they simplified to get 520 meters cubed. Got it? All right. So let's do this together. Now, for the got it problem, don't forget its volume is equal to the big B times the H, where the big B represents the area of the base. And in this situation, what shape is the base? A triangle. Very good. So, because it's a triangle, the formula for the area of the base is what? 1/2 base times height, right? And this second height over here is going to be that capital H, which is the height of the prism. So our formula then is the area of the base, which is a triangle, 1/2 base times height, times the height of that prism. Okay? So now let's substitute in. So we've got 1/2 times the base of the triangle. Here's the triangle. What's the base of the triangle?
3.5.
No. So what's the base again?
4.
The base is 4. Very good. And then the height of the triangle. What's the height of the triangle?
35.
There's the 3.5. Okay, 3.5. Now we're going to multiply that times the height of the prism. And don't forget, the height of the prism goes from this base down to that base. So which one of these numbers is the height of the prism?
7.
Very good, very good. Now we're going to multiply to simplify. So I'm going to do 1/2 times 4. So half of 4 is what? 2. And then 2 times 3.5 is
7.
7. Very good. And then we have 7 times 7, which is
49.
perfect. So 49 what? Meters cubed. Beautiful. So for example B, there I highlighted the triangle for you. That's the base, right? So to find the area of the base, to find the volume, we're going to do the area of the base, which is a triangle. So we've got 1/2. 1/2 times the base of the triangle, which is 7, times the base of, the height of the triangle, which is 8. And now we want the height of the prism. So here's base to base. What's the height of the prism? Very good. Height of the prism is 10. So we're going to multiply this times 10. You with me? All right. Now, once again, remember, you can multiply in any order you want to. So here we multiplied the 1/2 times the 4 because those are even, right? Here, I'm going to multiply the 1/2 times the 8. You see? So 1/2 times 8, or half of 8, is 4. And then 4 times 7 is 28. Very good. You see how that makes it easier? And then you're going to multiply that times 10, which gives you what?
280.
Perfect. 280, and what are my units? Yards cubed. Yards cubed. Don't get them mixed up. All right, so for example 2, it says a large skateboard ramp is shown here. Find the volume of the triangular prism. Now this is just like what we just did in the previous example, okay? So we have the 1/2. So we're looking at this triangle right here. So there's our triangle, and 1/2 base times height. So the base is 10. The height of the triangular base is 7. So that's 1/2 times 10 times 7. Then we're going to multiply times the height of the prism. So going from base to base, which of these numbers represents the height of the prism? 4. Does everybody see that? So going from base to base, 4 is the height of the prism. And don't forget, I like to make this a capital H just to distinguish between the height of the base and the height of the prism. And then you simplify and we get 140 feet cubed. Okay? So let's do this one. Oh, there's no picture. There's no picture. Now you have to read the words and pay attention to what you're reading. Okay? All right. So example C says, find the volume of a triangular prism-shaped model with a base of 32 square centimeters and a height of 6 centimeters. So let's look at what they're giving us. They gave us a base of 32 square centimeters. Everybody see that? And they're giving us the height of 6 centimeters. What is this 32 square centimeters? That's the area of the base. Isn't that whole thing right there? That's the big B. That's the area of the base. So I don't even have to do 1/2 base times height since they already gave me that number. Does everybody see that? So we're just going to substitute in here, 32. That is the area of the base. And then the height of the prism, that's that one, is 6. So when we multiply, what do we get? That's 12, carry the 1, that's 18, 19. So that's 192. And what are my units? Centimeters cubed. Very good. Centimeters cubed. All right, so now we're going to find the missing dimensions. So to find the missing dimensions of a triangular prism, you're going to replace the variables with known measurements, and then you're going to solve for the unknown. This is the exact same steps as we did with the rectangular prism. So we're going to start with our formula. Now, I would like for us to not start with this formula. I want you to start with the more detailed formula, okay, when you're solving for the missing dimension, okay? So when we substitute, you know exactly what you're substituting in. So for the volume, we have 1/2 times the base of this triangle. So this triangle, the base, that's the triangular base, it's the same as the one up here. So the base of this triangle is 1, and the height of this triangle is 0.3. Okay, so that's 1 times 0.3, and that's 1. Also, the volume, they gave us the volume here, which is 12, so you need to substitute that in. And then they said solve for the height. So the height of the prism, the capital H, is the one that we're solving for. Is everybody with me? Is everybody clear? All right. So then you're going to simplify, and then you will solve for your final answer. Okay? So let's do one together. All right. So here we want to solve for the missing dimension of the triangular prism. So once again, I want you to start with your detailed formula. Okay? Start with your detailed formula. Make sure you write it down. So now we want to substitute in what we know. So let's see. They gave us the volume. They gave us the base length. They gave us the base height. And we're going to solve for the height of the prism. Got it? So we substitute in. They give us the volume, which is 55. They give us the base, so that's 1/2 times the base length, which is 2, times the base height, which is 5. And then we're going to solve for that capital H times H. So now, in order for us to solve this, we need to simplify what's already there. So we've got 55 over here. That stays the same. And then we have, what's 1/2 of 2? 1. And then 1 times 5 is 5. So this is going to give me 5 times H. Now, how am I going to get that H by itself? Divide by 5 on both sides. Very good. So the 5's cancel, and H is equal to 11. Now, 11 what? 11 what? Kilometers? Kilometers cubed. Just kilometers, because we are solving for the height of the prism. We are not solving for volume. Is everybody clear? All right. Dwayne bought a cheese wedge for his March Madness party. The cheese wedge has dimensions shown. The volume of the cheese wedge is 54 cubic inches. We want to know what is the height of the cheese wedge. So let's look at where our triangle is again. So now we're going to substitute in. We know the volume. It tells us right here. the volume is 54 cubic inches. So there's the 54. Then we have 1/2 times the base and the height. So the base of this triangle, we could do this one or this one, right? So I'll say 3 is the base. And then what's the height going to be? The height of that triangle is 4. And now, does everybody see from base to base, does everybody see what I'm solving for? That we are solving for the height of the prism. Okay? So, when we simplify here, we've got 1/2 times 4. 1/2 times 4, which is 2. And then 2 times 3 is 6. And then we have 6h is equal to 54. To get the h by itself, we divide by 6 on both sides, and the h is equal to 9. So this height of this cheese wedge is 9 inches.